Hello, my name is Kiriath, and today we're going to talk about the Primaris Space Marines. Primaris Space Marines? Primaris Space Marines? However you want to pronounce it, there is a new type of Space Marine that has been announced by Games Workshop in the upcoming 8th edition kind of information dump that they've done. They have talked about this brand new, true scale Space Marine. So normal Space Marine, short, stocky, looks like he's got problems with his legs. These new Space Marines, tall, glorious. I actually really like the look of them. Now, before we go into the massive clusterfucking shitstorm that this has caused, people just losing their minds about how terrible all of this is and how none of it makes any sense, which we will get to in a minute and dissect why a lot of what people are saying is wrong, for want of a better word. Let's just lay out a couple of things first, like a couple of disclaimers. Firstly, I don't think there was any good way to do what Games Workshop are trying to do. They want to introduce true-scale Marines. Now, true-scaling Space Marines has become a lot more popular in recent years. There are several services that are now just dedicated to taking the Space Marine kits, and you basically cut the legs at the top around the thigh area, you pack it out with a bit of plastic card, you smooth it over with green stuff. That increases the scale of the Marine, makes them closer to what they should be, because right now, Space Marines are basically little squatty idiots. They're supposed to be way taller than a standard human. They're supposed to tower over guardsmen, and yet they're the same height. And, you know, lore-wise, that's awesome. On the tabletop, they're not like that. Games Workshop is clearly just trying to bring those two things in, like, together, trying to make them the same, so that when you look on the tabletop, your 7-8 foot, like, super soldier actually looks like a 7-8 foot super soldier instead of a little squatty bastard. Now, there was no good way to do this, in my opinion. You can either do what they're doing, which is introduce brand new models, and give them brand new lore to go with it, and then eventually phase out the old Space Marines, which is what I'm fairly sure they're going to do. I mean, we're talking over years. I don't think it's going to be a case of 8th edition is out, the new Space Marines are out, and then a month after, all of the Space Marine models just aren't produced anymore. That would be crazy. That'd be mental to do that. I think what they're going to do is they've introduced these new Space Marines, which, according to the lore they've made and to the rules that they've set, can be played in any Space Marine army of any type, including Dark Angels, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, that lot. So I think they're just going to slowly phase them out. So the Primaris Space Marines will become the overwhelming majority of Space Marines in the 40k universe, and eventually normal Space Marines will just be gone. They'll just be slowly got rid of. I think that's kind of a slightly better option, but it's still not perfect than the only other way they could have done it, which is to release a shit ton of new true-scale Space Marine kits and gone, there you go, new models. Because then what? I mean, armies would look terrible. Space Marine players would not be happy either way, but I think the way they've done it, it's like maybe 50% are really unhappy. If they'd have just introduced a brand new range of Space Marine models that were head and shoulders taller than every other Space Marine in your army, including Terminators, by the way, people are not going to be happy with that, are they? It's going to be like, oh well, so now if I need a new tactical squad, I'm going to have a single squad in my army that is ridiculously taller than the rest of my units for seemingly no reason. They're just bigger. Like, the scale would be totally out of whack. It would look dumb. It's still going to look dumb, don't get me wrong, when you've got groups of Primaris Space Marines running around with normal Space Marines, but at least there's a lore reason for it looking dumb. So, let's go into some of the specific complaints that people have got. So that's the disclaimer section. I don't think there's an easy way or good way to do this, but I think they've settled on the less, oh my god, what are you doing kind of way of doing it. But let's just talk about the actual lore behind the Primaris Space Marine so far, such as it is, because people are going apeshit over this, and we've had like one article, a video, and an FAQ. That's it. That is the grand total of the story that you've got for the Primaris Space Marine so far. So losing your shit over how crap the lore seems when you have like 2 paragraphs explaining their origins. I mean, if you jumped the gun any harder, you'd be complaining about stuff that wasn't even existing in the fucking lore yet, so chill out on that front. But let's just talk about what we do know. So, the Primaris Space Marines are again, and also Games Workshop haven't helped themselves, they are a brand new type of Space Marine. Except they're not really. When they say they're brand new, they say a new hero for a new age. Oh, these are brand new type of Space Marines. No, because they've already clarified in a Facebook post that these are improvements. So what happened basically is old Guilliman, however you want to say it, he saw that shit was going down, things were going bad during the heresy, it was not looking great. 10,000 years ago, he gets in contact with old Belisarius Cawl. It's Cawl. So many people pronounce it Crawl, it's Cawl. C-A-W-L. There's no R in there, Cawl. So he sends Cawl off, Cawl goes away for literally 10,000 years and works on improving Space Marines. And as a result, we get the Primaris Space Marines, with their extra attack and extra wound and slightly better bolt gun. Now, the first thing that people seem to have a problem with is the idea of someone else messing about with the Emperor's work. I've seen so many people go, these are the best that the Emperor could do. The Emperor created these, he's the only one capable of doing this, they are the best he could manage. No, they're not. Yeah, they're the best in terms of mass production, but the best he can manage are Custodes, because Custodes are supposed to be significantly harder than Space Marines. Their equipment's supposed to be better, the training is supposed to be better, and they're supposed to just be superior in terms of their physique, their reaction time. I mean, how many times during the first Heretic do we see a Custodian fighting a word bearer in the training cage and just beating the shit out of him every time? It's emphasised so many times in that one book just how much better the Custodes are compared to Space Marines. So that first argument is already gone. They're not the best he could manage. He'd already made the best he could manage when he made the Custodes. The Space Marines are easier to mass produce. That's the key thing. Now, provided Belisarius Cawl did not just create brand new ones, I'm kind of okay with him improving on them, because that's already been done. The number of people who are like, oh, no one can improve on the Emperor's work. Well, no, I hate to break it to you, but it's already happened twice. So, the first example that I'm going to give is his old Fabius Bile over there, or Fabulous Bill, as he's otherwise known. Yeah, he did not do it in a particularly good, or, what is the word? Not artistic. He didn't, it wasn't subtle, the changes that he tried to make to Space Marines. It was very much, I'm going to take this thing what I nicked off an alien and graft it onto you. That's kind of the way he went about it. But it unquestionably, in some cases at least, worked. Are you seriously telling me that Lord Commander Eidolon, after he had that crazy sonic thing implanted in his throat, wasn't better than a normal Space Marine? He was already pretty good. As Space Marines go, he was Lord Commander of the Emperor's Children. He was not bad. He was pretty up there. He was not terrible. And then he suddenly gets the ability to scream a wall of sound so loud and so dissonant that it literally rips things apart. And you want to tell me that no one up until now, when the Primaris Space Marines have turned up, no one was able to improve Space Marines? What a fucking random apothecary in the Emperor's Children had already done it. Not in the same way, not in a subtle way, not in a mass-produced way even, but he still fucking did it. Eidolon was unquestionably stronger than a standard Marine because he had an ability that none of them had. And how was that achieved? By fucking around with genetics and implanting stuff into him. So that's one example that already takes away the whole, oh, no one's done it before. Yes, they have. There's one example. Second one, there's an entire book dedicated to Corax going off and trying to make his own Marines. Yeah, the Emperor gives him the knowledge to do so, and as a result, he's able to relatively quickly find a method of mass producing Space Marines that are a little bit stronger and a little bit faster than the Space Marines he currently has under his command. Now, if it weren't for the Alpha Legion dicking about and contaminating all his experiments with demonic blood, then it would have already happened. He would have already had a way of mass producing better Space Marines that mature almost compared to a normal Space Marine, which is you've got your child phase, then they're taken for training, and then that training, so many of them fail, and then they get implanted with the gene seed, and then it's a long process. Corax managed to skip 95% of that shit. It was just, oh, that's a person, stick the gene seed in them, they'll be fine. It's already been done twice. One in a sensible, mass-produced kind of way, but, chaos will be chaos and messed it all up. And the other in the, I'm going to cut you open and stick things in you sort of way. It's already happened. Already happened twice. So, to me, the idea of a fucking major tech priest from Mars having 10,000 years to improve on the Space Marine gene seed. Funnily enough, I can kind of see it happening. It's not completely out of the realms of possibility for a setting in which that exact scenario has already happened twice, but with people less fucking qualified than a tech priest. And there's the other thing as well. Oh, just some random tech priest. I don't know whether you've read the lore recently, but I think it's reasonable to assume that he is not some random fucking tech priest. How many random tech priests do you know that have models, just out of interest, in terms of special characters? How many of them are the size and age of Call? The dude isn't some random wanker they found on the street. He clearly knows what he's up to. Now, on to another point. Why did it have to be Guilliman? It's always Guilliman. Guilliman is always the one who does it. He's always the one who has to come up with the perfect idea. Well, it's Guilliman, because who the fuck else was going to come up with that idea? Can you even see? Seriously, knowing what you know, if you've read the Horus Heresy books, if you like the lore, if you keep up to date with the lore, name me one Primarch other than Guilliman on the loyalist side who would actually contemplate doing that. Guilliman's the empire builder. That's what he is. He wants to expand. He wants to make the Imperium larger. That's all he ever wanted to do. He created his own empire within an empire and policed it almost perfectly until the Wordbearers showed up and started fucking things around. He is the closest to the Emperor in terms of wanting that huge vision for humanity, and as such he's willing to contemplate doing stuff that the other Primarchs are not. For instance, just as a small example, setting up his own Imperium Secundus whilst the rest of the galaxy was burning around him. Just a thought, he's already shown that he's happy essentially to basically ignore what his father wants, to ignore the need of the greater to try and protect what he knows is safe. He crowned Sanguinius as the new emperor of an Imperium that didn't need to exist. That's Guilliman's character. If anyone was going to look at what they were up against and go, I think we might need a little bit more help with this. This is not looking great. This is like, we've got demonic infested bullshit all over the place. We can't just go after this and just hope that it works. We need something. We need something that is guaranteed to actually give us the edge in this fight. Of course it's going to be fucking Guilliman. Can you see Leman Russ doing that? No. Absolutely not. Dawn's got no fucking imagination whatsoever. As long as Terra's safe, he doesn't give a shit. He just builds fortresses and that's his entire MO. I mean, the Lion? What? The Lion? Absolutely not, wouldn't do that. He might consider it, but then he'd try and make it so that they were just Dark Angels and equip them with all kinds of crazy archaeotech, so that he would never even have the resources to do that anyway, because he's such a mysterious sort of secretive figure. He would not be able to go over to someone and go, yo, can you make me a bunch of Space Marines? They'd be like, no. I mean, I'll say I can, but no. He's the only one it makes sense to do, and all of that feeds into this whole thing of Matt Ward basically making Guilliman the worst character in 40k. Now that he's had so much expansion in terms of who he is and why he does stuff, that attitude needs to fuck off. Because it's all this kind of built-up resentment of, oh, Guilliman's shit, therefore anything he does is shit. Not really. Actually having the forethought to try and produce something that is an equivalent to, say, I don't know, just as a random example, a massively plague-boosted fucking Death Guard who can literally disintegrate stuff by looking at it because it gets infected with every illness known to man and ages instantly. I can kind of see Guilliman going, we could do with a hand in dealing with those, you know? I mean, it's... all the issues with the lore seem to stem from only the Emperor can do this. Which, yeah, the Emperor did create the Space Marines, but other people have already improved them, so that argument is completely moot. I mean, got a real life example here, just to really hammer it home, and then I think we're pretty much done, because I think I've laid it out. So this is my guitar, one of my guitars. This is an LTD EC331. I did not construct this guitar, funnily enough. Someone in Korea constructed this guitar. They did a very good job. It's a very nice guitar. And I think it's safe to say that they spent a hell of a lot longer building this than I spent improving it. But improve it I did. I replaced the bridge, I've replaced the pots, and I've replaced the tuning pegs. So, there. So I've changed several things on this guitar. Now, when I changed several things on that guitar, it took me approximately an hour. It did not take a long time. However, I'm assuming it took the person who put that thing together a damn sight longer than an hour to do so, right? Switch that round, and you've basically got what's happened with the Primaris Space Marines. So instead of the creator spending 10,000 years building this amazing thing, someone turning up and going, oh well, I know how to make that better, and then fucking about for a day and making it better, you have the exact opposite scenario, whereby the Emperor spent a few years building the Space Marines and creating the gene seed, and then some other guy spent 10,000 years working on improving them, and as a result, they're a little bit taller, they've got 2 wounds and 2 attacks. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, is it? Not even remotely. It's not even slightly out of the realms of possibility, especially in 40k, when mad shit just turns up all the time. Oh, we found an STC. What does that do? Oh, it's a giant fucking tank. Oh, okay, fine, fair enough. I mean, come on. You can suspend your disbelief for basically dark elf pirates who ride actual flying pirate ships. That's fine. You can suspend your disbelief for hordes of metallic skeletons rising up from their unending sleep and taking back the worlds that their dynasties used to own, but not all at once because then everyone would die. But some dude improving gene seed over 10,000 years, not having that. You can get... I mean, how many examples do you fucking want? How many examples do you want? I mean, this isn't even going into the fact that we don't know what their flaws are. There could be serious massive flaws with the Primaris Space Marines, but we don't know. Because we've got 2 paragraphs of fucking lore, so chill out. We don't even know how the other chapters are going to react to it. I mean, this could be prime material for a civil war. I'd hope that it would be prime material for a civil war. Games Workshop is sensible, that's what they'll do with it. But we don't know that, because we haven't got 2 fucking paragraphs of fucking lore. All we've got is, look at these new guys, it took 10,000 years to produce them, and they're slightly better than the old guys, who did not take anywhere near that amount of time to make in the beginning. Oh, and people have already improved them before. That's your lore at the moment. Stop freaking out. It's not that dumb, it's not that stupid, it's not that unbelievable, it's not that out there, and it's not even stuff that hasn't been done before. So just chill, wait, see what else they say about the Primaris Space Marines, and if they do make them horrendous Mary Sues, then I'll be the first to call them out for it. If they do make them the perfect, unyielding defenders of humanity, with no flaws, no possibility of corruption, who are just better in every way, I'll be the first to call them out. So yeah, that is my current stance on the Primaris Space Marines. Now if they turn out to be ridiculous, then obviously I'll make another video saying that they're fucking stupid. But for now, from the 2 or 3 paragraphs that we've got, they don't seem that dumb, they don't seem that out there, and they don't seem that utterly impossible in the realm of Warhammer 40k. Maybe just give them a chance and don't massively overreact at everything Games Workshop does. Just a thought. Anyway, if you like that video, I can only imagine how many dislikes this is going to get. Fuck it. If you like the video, there's a bunch of other links to click. There's a link to my Patreon page and all kinds of good stuff right there. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching. Toodaloo.